Let's say I get to here fairly well, what do I do from here?
Now the feeling from here would be trying to get your trail thumb to your trail shoulder in terms of curling it. Yes,
More that way.
direction, yes.
Got it.
And the goal will be, as you do that, to finish turning at the same time.
Okay, so it's really from here, I go wide with the elbow in front. My trail arm from there, if we just isolate that, is doing that curl position.
Yes.
Right? So I'm doing the curl, but as I'm doing the curl, I'm turning.
Yes.
Doing that late part of the turn like we talked about.
Yes.
I see how this is all coming together here. Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about the hanger training aid. I absolutely love this. I firmly believe that this is good for every single golfer. This hanger here creates and controls what I think is the most important part of the swing, which is the wrist angle. It snaps right on. It takes me probably 30 seconds to put on. I can put it right in my golf bag, and best of all is you can hit balls with it. You can actually hit balls with it. So I love this hanger training aids. Look at when I do that well, how that sits on my forearm. Now watch when I cut my wrist, how that comes off. Immediate feedback for where my wrist angle is at. No one that can have too flat of a left wrist. One of the few things that all good ball strikers have, we're trying to have. Flat left wrist, right? Super easy to use, incredible immediate feedback with the coupon code GogornoGolf.com. You're gonna absolutely love it. We'll put all the details down in the description down below. So JT, how to load the right arm. Now this is something that I've seen you talk about a couple times, and I've seen you give feedback to a lot of the members on how the trail arm works. And I think we can talk about how someone can load their right arm and give them good feels and general concepts to be able to create more power, hit the ball more solid, right?
Yes.
And so let's say we start from the basics, right? I come in for a lesson, we're hitting balls, and I'm like, JT, I'm not sure, what my right arm is supposed to do during the backswing. Can you help guide me, help get me started? What are some key points for me?
So I think some key points to understand is most people fold their right arm way too soon. So folding the right arm a lot later is very important. I think how we use our wrist and our hand versus pro nation and super nation in terms of like, how we twist the club in the backswing.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is how we actually fold it. So more like a lawnmower versus a bicep curl. So
Okay,
bicep curl is how we get the power.
Bicep curls, how we get the power. So let's talk about the how much we fold when part first. So if I take my normal setup, right, and I'm here like this, we said, generally speaking, the error would be folding the right arm too much, too quick.
Yes.
Right? We want to have it fold later.
Much later.
And so let's talk through how to do that in some checkpoints. So if I were to, let's say I start here normal, I've got a slight amount of bend in my trail arm to set up. How am I starting this, JT?
You're going to feel like your trail arm stays straight. It doesn't really add any bend until your lead arm is parallel to the ground. So you're pushing your right arm as far away from you as you can.
Okay.
And then also from this perspective, we're not letting it get too far behind us. So if you start over here kind of at the ball, another folding issue would be one where it pulls like this, almost like a lawnmower, where it pulls behind you too quickly.
Okay.
So that would cause some other issues really on the downswing. But yeah, pushing it out, keeping it in front of your shirt seam and pushed out really as far as you can away.
So I'm keeping my right arm, this is the part where I repeat everything you just said.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my right arm, as I'm feeling this, much wider, what it feels like to me longer.
Yes,
So
longer.
about left arm parallel. So it's wider, longer, and it's more in front, not behind me.
Yes.
Right, so elbow in front of this kind of seam line for my shirt would be my checkpoint. So I'm wider with the trail arm, and it's more in front of me, is what it feels like compared to normal.
Yes.
I'm just gonna do a little hit with that, JT. Wider and more in front. And that's about to the point where I get to, I felt good.
That was really nice.
Until I get to left arm parallel. Now, as I go from there, obviously it doesn't stay straight the whole time.
No.
Right, there's a folding component to it.
Yes.
So let's say we get this part pretty good. I'm wider, I'm in front of me. Again, the air being like too bent, too far behind me, too quick. Elbows
Correct.
too far apart. Let's say I get to here fairly well. What do I do from here?
Now the feeling from here would be trying to get your trail thumb to your trail shoulder in terms of curling it. Yes.
More that way.
direction. Yes.
Got it.
And the goal will be, as you do that, to finish turning at the same time.
Okay. So it's really from here, I go wide with the elbow in front. My trail arm from there, if we just isolate that, is doing that curl position.
Yes.
Right? So I'm doing the curl, but as I'm doing the curl, I'm turning.
Yes.
I'm doing
you're
that
turning.
late part of the turn like we talked about.
Yes.
I see how this is all coming together here. Now, when I get to the top, even though the tops, we like to do it like it's static, but it's really dynamic. Am I, you know, like 90 degrees is a rough?
90 degrees is a perfect rough estimate.
Just to get to something like this, I'm looking. If I'm like here at 45, maybe I folded too much. If I'm past that, potentially too wide, something to 90 degrees.
Yes.
Okay. So wider with the trail arm early. So many times I can repeat this. Elbow in front, feeling this, but I'm not really doing that as much because I'm doing the turner.
Yes.
Which is to about right there. Does that look pretty good?
That looks really good.
So I'm going to try and put that together just here for a second. So wider early, bending it. Wider early, bending it.
And for someone who doesn't bend it enough, it will definitely feel more narrow. So
Okay.
For you, you have a tendency to keep it too wide. It's going to feel a lot more narrow for you in this.
Call me out right now. So for me, because I'm wide, it'll feel narrow.
Yes.
And so if I'm too wide, or yeah, okay, so let's say I'm too wide. I'm gonna, okay.
And you're gonna start to actually, so you notice you just did it, you're gonna pull your right elbow more behind you rather than keep it higher and fold it more like the curl.
During the late part of my backswing.
During the late part of your
Okay.
backswing.
So I'm going here, I'm going wide in front.
There you go, much better.
Okay. And like you said, that's a little bit particular to me.
Yes.
Okay. So widen in front, and then bending. So I'm gonna hit a little bit thin. So that bending part, so definitely, okay, so now let's say I'm the opposite though. Let's say I come in and I guess most people who are too bent at the top though, are probably too bent too early.
Yes, too bent too early, and they're bent the wrong way. So their arm really folds behind them more the lawnmower action versus the, yes, exactly.
Now what about JT? Let's say I came up and I get this part, I'm wide, elbows in front, and then I do overbend it. I would just simply feel like it stays wider longer.
It stays wider longer. You can feel, you can push basically your right palm towards the sky and push it away from you.
Yep.
You can still have some push away as you fold your arm.
Okay.
So exactly.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
that's the feeling that you would want to have. You don't want to feel too much collapsing. You can keep the arm folding. That's very good.
Definitely more bend than I normally would do.
Yes, much more bend.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Really
about as good as I can do right there. So, all right, Dr. Thomas in the building again. I always hit it a lot better when we're done with these. So I'm checking versus 90, seeing where I'm at. I'm feeling that from there. So that's the bending part, right? Let's talk now about the second piece, right?
Yeah, the orientation part, which it actually goes directly with the bending and how it would bend.
Okay.
So you can just take this, almost just hold the club with your left hand, hold your right hand out there.
Yep.
Great. If you take your right hand and you pronate it, which means you would turn your hand towards the ground, you notice your elbow is going to come more out, right?
Yep,
It's going to start
farther away from me.
Yeah, it's going to start to bend a whole lot immediately. It's going to get behind your shirt seam if you were to add any turn.
Yep.
And that's going to make it internally rotated to where you have to really go from internal to external pretty quickly in the backswing to be able to get the club to shallow. Yeah,
Right,
so
yeah.
it's pretty hard to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts. So to make it a little bit easier would be to add some supination, or your thumb rotating more and your hand rotating more open. Exactly. And that's going to make it easier for you to do a bicep curl and fold it. Yes,
Okay.
that way.
So when I do this early part and I'm wide and in front, when I do the little bit more of the palm up, not really palm up, but that's what's going towards that.
Yes, going towards that.
That keeps my elbow a lot closer.
Yeah, and in front.
In front.
Yes.
In terms of the seam line part. Got it. So if I'm someone who's too far behind, here, I got too much internal, right palm too down, there's pronation, I would feel more of the palm up, elbow in front, little external rotation.
Yes, and
You
that's
guys got all that in those technical terms? But I think that's a simple thing to be able to understand.
Yeah, just think of how your palm is moving. Makes it really easy for you to fold it a certain way.
Palm up, elbow in front, palm down, elbow behind.
Exactly.
Okay. So as I'm going here, elbow in front, wider, folded. Elbow wider, folded. Yeah, that
And
feels
to-
good for me.
To really unlock the power for this would be learning to finish that folding, finish the bicep curling as you're starting the downswing. So as the pelvis is opening, to make it really dynamic, really athletic, is now learning to add that folding as your body's starting to really hit the ball.
So that it's not as though we make it where it's like, all right, wide,
Fold,
90,
yeah,
here 120. That thing's really going this way.
yes,
Right? That thing's really folding as I'm
yes,
moving. That's where a lot of the power comes from.
absolutely.
It's like you're saying, if I took the club and was just doing that more, that sort of whip
The whip feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And the later you can feel that folding, the more it folds as the transition happens, the more whip we're gonna get. Really
Yeah, I mean,
nice
that's
on that.
hammered for me.
That one was hammered, yeah.
So
I think it's really important. Obviously, there are golfers who overfold their right arm. Most of the time when they do overfold it, though, they do it the wrong way. It's rare that I've seen someone fold it nicely and overfold it the right way. So for most golfers, and to get more power, I think we can kind of overload that lever to get us some more power and get us some more leverage down into the ball.
Especially like with the key point that it gets wide enough early enough.
Yes, because then you have all that left to fold. If you use it all early, you have nothing left, and then you end up giving it out.
Got it. Yeah, that's a key point for a lot of things we always talk about that you make good points on, that I think we overlook a lot, is if you do something too much too early, you have nothing left to do later.
Exactly, you run out of that range of motion.
So, okay, we have the width piece early. That's the key. We have how the arm rotates is going to affect where my elbow and where I pull it. I want wide and in front, bicep curl. Wide and in front, bicep curl as I turn.
Yes.
That's kind of the, like, if you could write up a stock movement pattern, right?
That's what we would want.
Are there any other pieces to this JT that are relevant, or are those kind of the main?
Those are the main ones. Adding the dynamics to the folding is what really gives us the power, but we have to set it up really nice.
Dude, that's as good as I could hit it.
Really good. We have to set it up in a way that allows us to do that. Getting that right arm to fold, getting it to supinate a little bit, allows it to have that external, the right arm more in front, holding that lag, hitting the ball far.
And especially so especially as I'm coming down during my downswing, right?
Yes.
If I'm setting it up to your point here, and I'm here, and then I can continue that in transition, my elbow location compared to if I'm here, here, here the whole time.
Yes. That's what we would see with someone who folds it behind them too much.
Got it.
Is that downswing position.
I love that, dude. I think my take home, if I was getting a lesson here, again, is like, if I'm practicing this, I'm wide and in front, and then I'm bicep curl as I turn.
Yes.
I'm wide and in front, I'm bicep curl. And as I'm doing bicep, I'm looking at where am I relative to 90 degrees, and I'm trying to make it dynamic in transition.
Perfect.
Cool? All right, dude.
Good stuff.
So, guys, that's how you use your right arm and load and fold your right arm. I think that's beautiful. I think I'm gonna not have JT come in videos anymore, and he's just gonna be my personal golf coach, because I always hit the ball so good. Hopefully you guys too, after this, you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below.